the nights where it may be a little cloudy or you just want a closer view and to be looped in with what's going on with the countdown. As we're now T-minus 21 minutes, 3 seconds and counting. Coming up on 30 seconds away from the start of the big event. The event that occurs as the feed lines are chilled prior to LOX loading on the Falcon 9's second stage.
Stage 2 lock load. 1 minute.
And at T-minus 20 minutes,
Let's
just about 20 seconds there, saw the big vent begin from the strong back. It's last for the next few minutes. Good visual indication that fueling is in fact moving along on schedule. We're now T-minus 17 minutes, 43 seconds and counting. Nearing the end of the big vent here. Should wrap up in just about a minute or so. As we come to its conclusion, I want to thank a few more folks for their support this evening. Well, thanks for either getting up extremely early for the start of a work day or staying up late with us. Now T-minus 16 minutes, 9 seconds and counting. The big vent has wrapped up.
Lock load complete.
We are just coming into the start of LOX load on the second stage right about now. Our thanks as well to Sarah C, try saying that 3 times fast, for a $10 super chat, who says, "Let's launch this baby so I can go inside and paint my toenails." Sounds like a lovely way to wrap up the weekend, get ready for a fresh work week. Falcon 9 stands at 70 meters or 229 feet tall and has a diameter of 3.66 meters or 12 feet. Most of that made up by the first stage of the vehicle. Today's first stage booster to date has flown 11 times before, looking to notch its 12th flight before the evening is out. This is booster tail number 1073 in the SpaceX fleet. At the base of the first stage are the 9 Merlin engines, which burn rocket-grade kerosene and liquid oxygen, producing 1.7 million pounds of thrust. Around the engine compartment are those black carbon fiber landing legs that will be used to land the first stage on the drone ship. Tonight, again, they're using a shortfall of gravitas. Above the first stage is the inner stage. It's a composite structure consisting of an aluminum honeycomb core surrounded by carbon fiber. In this inset image on the right-hand side, you see the deployable hypersonic grid fins. These are titanium winglets that provide stability and steering for the Falcon 9 as it comes back big old dart tail first. Because it comes back through its own plume, it starts to build up a little soot on the exterior of the Falcon 9's first stage, which is how we get some of the character that you see here on this and the other flight-proven boosters. At the top of the inner stage are the 3 mechanical latches that attach to the second stage. At first stage main engine cutoff, high-pressure helium is used to release those latches, and 4 pneumatic pushers ensure a clean separation. The second stage engine nozzle is safely housed inside the inner stage adapter until stage separation. Speaking of that second stage, the upper stage of the Falcon 9 is powered by a single modified Merlin engine called a Merlin vacuum engine, or an MVAC engine. It's equipped with a large nozzle, which is optimized for burns in the vacuum of space, hence the name. It produces more than 200,000 pounds of thrust, and it will be fired twice on today's flight, placing the 23 Starlink satellites into their intended orbit. The MVAC engine burns the same propellant mix as the Falcon 9 First Stage, LOX and RP-1. It will ignite a third time after the deployment of the Starlink satellites for a deorbit burn, driving the upper stage back into the atmosphere where it will burn up, helping to eliminate the risk of any unnecessary space debris on this mission. Finally, up top are the payload fairings, which are encasing the 23 Starlink satellites. They are made up of a carbon composite material. They are 13.1 meters, or 43 feet tall, and 5.2 meters, or 17.1 feet in diameter. The 2 halves of the payload fairings will be recovered a little bit further down range. They splash down under parachutes, and the recovery vessel, Doug, is going to be the one scooping them out of the Atlantic And like with the booster, they will be brought back to Port Canaveral here on the Space Coast, where SpaceX will retrieve them. They will be examined, refurbished, and turned around for future use. As SpaceX founder Elon Musk said in a recent talk, they have reused payload fairings in excess of 300 times to date. We are now T-minus 10 minutes, 54 seconds and counting to the launch of SpaceX's fifth flight in 2024. Their 99th within the last 365 days. I like to keep a rolling average going as it gives a more complete picture of the SpaceX launch pace in a holistic way. As we're coming into the final 10 minutes of the count, let's go ahead and talk about the launch timeline for this particular mission. Of course, SpaceX is targeting that T0 liftoff time at 8:52 p.m. Eastern, 01:52 UTC. That'll be followed by T plus 1 minute 12 seconds when the Falcon 9 passes through the point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle, otherwise known as max Q. Then at T plus 2 minutes and 25 seconds will be first stage main engine cutoff, or MECO, followed by stage separation 3 seconds later. Then at T plus 2 minutes and 35 seconds will be the Merlin vacuum engine ignition, or second stage engine ignition, SES-1. The payload fairings will jettison at T plus 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Then, a few minutes later, the first stage entry burn begins at T plus 6 minutes and 5 seconds, that burn lasting 22 seconds. It's followed up by the first stage landing burn, a little bit earlier on the timeline than we've seen recently. This coming up at T plus 7 minutes and 51 seconds, with the booster expected to land on the drone ship a short fall of gravitas at T plus 8 minutes and 13 seconds. Usually comes up a little bit closer to about 8.5 minutes. At T plus 8 minutes 39 seconds, we'll see the Merlin vacuum engine cease firing, second stage engine cutoff, or SECO-1. It'll stay in a parking orbit until T plus 53 minutes 21 seconds. Second stage engine will have its second firing for a quick 2-second burn at T plus 53 minutes 21 seconds. It'll set up for a Starlink deployment at T plus 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 39 seconds. And back retract sequence beginning. Bit of housekeeping here. You'll notice that our countdown clock is a little bit ahead of what you see on the SpaceX feed. Reason for that is our countdown clock is in real time. The feed that you're seeing on SpaceX is coming in on a slight delay. So, of course, we'll be making these callouts in real time and making the acknowledgement of the discrepancy with SpaceX as it is relevant.
Strong back retract in progress.
Now, seeing those clamp arms opening up underneath the payload fairings on the vehicle. Great view of the crew access arm and tower there at Pad 40. SpaceX will be bringing the capability to launch crew missions online at some point in 2024. At one point, there was the thought that the first crewed mission would be what we're about to see on Wednesday, potentially, the AX-3 mission to the International Space Station. However, all the parties involved opted to use the tried and true Launch Complex 39A instead, and so we will have to wait and see which is the first crew to depart from Pad 40. on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Now T-minus 3 minutes, 6 seconds and counting.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
All out for Stage 1 LOX load has wrapped up. Last milestone in the fueling will be Stage 2 LOX loading, which will be followed by ground gas closeouts as well. Things continue to remain on track for a launch at 8:52 p.m. Eastern, 01:52 UTC. And as we're within the final 3 minutes of the count, we'll go ahead and hold off on calling out the support ahead of the launch. Do want to note that I am seeing it. It is very much appreciated, and it will be fully acknowledged once we are on the other side of this launch. But for now, I want to go ahead and keep our focus on the mission at hand as we are within the final 2 minutes before liftoff. Do want to quickly note and thank the more than 31,000 of you that are joining us live tonight.
Stage 2 LOX load complete.
And hear that call out that
As you
LOX load on
mentioned, is T-minus 1 minute 45 second and second stage LOX load completion.
You see the ground gas closeouts, that last bit of venting there. Now T-minus 1 minute, 20 seconds and counting.
Ground gas closeouts.
Gas closer.
The other good call out from SpaceX again. The audio we're hearing, like the SpaceX countdown clock, coming in on a slight delay. Now 1 minute to liftoff. Coming up, we'll be hearing the SpaceX launch director giving their final go for liftoff in real time. That's coming up.
Falcon9 is in startup.
Just a few seconds here.
Startup.
Coming up in less than 10 seconds on the SpaceX feed.
T-minus 30
seconds.
Go for launch.
Go for launch.
And you hear that call out. We are go for launch from the SpaceX launch director with 20 seconds left.
T-minus 15 seconds. T-minus
And here
10,
we go. 10, 9, 8, 7,
6,
5,
4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
Ignition
Engine ignition
and lift.
and liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket on the Starlink 6-37 mission. The Falcon 9 has cleared the tower.
And go Starlink. Go SpaceX 6/37 mission. Vehicle reaching range proportional nominal.
We're getting some great views of the Falcon 9 as it climbs through the clouds over Cape Canaveral. 30 seconds into flight. Let's listen to the roar of those 9 Merlin engines.
First off.
Now 50 seconds into flight. Merlin engines should be throttling down now as the vehicle approaches max Q, the point of greatest aerodynamic pressure. 1 minute into flight. Getting some great tracking views from our Adam Bernstein here. With a call out, the Falcon 9 now traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Vehicle purple.
The rocket now passing through max Q. We're at T plus 1 minute 32 seconds and counting.
Power trimetry.
Coming up in less than a minute now will be MECO, main engine. Main engine cutoff. That chill down call out you just heard is to condition the Merlin vacuum engine ahead of its burn beginning. Also less than a minute. Some great views here from our tracking camera here at the press site. Now a little over 2 minutes into flight.
SpaceX Supersonic.
Main engine cutoff is coming up in 10 seconds.
Stage 1 main engine cutoff.
And there you see MECO,
MECO.
followed by stage separation. And we should see that Merlin vacuum engine come on to life in just a moment. Here's the SpaceX view of separation.
MECO.
And you see the lights of the Cape right before the Merlin vacuum engine ignites. Now 3 minutes into flight, you see those titanium winglets unfold from the Falcon9 First Stage. We still got a tracking view from here at the press site. Our Adam Bernstein keeping eyes on the Merlin vacuum engine as it continues its burn, coming up on bearing
separation confirmed.
And there you go, the Starlink satellites now exposed to the vacuum of space for the first time in this flight. A little over 3.5 minutes into flight now. Just a few seconds, the entry burn will begin.
Stage 2
in real time.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there you see that first stage entry burn has wrapped up. Coming up, the next milestone as we are coming up on T+7 minutes into flight will be the landing burn beginning. That's coming up in about 50 seconds. The booster will then land on the drone ship a short fall of gravitas at about T+8 minutes and 13 seconds. As far as visual markers that we're looking for here, you're going to want to watch the SpaceX clock now at the bottom of your screen. Because the events are far enough out and low enough on the horizon, we won't be able to see them from our tracking camera views. So we'll rely on SpaceX's onboard cameras here, as well as the cameras on its drone ship.
Stage 1 transonic.
Hear the call out that stage 1 is now traveling below the speed of sound. You can see the speed gauge on the stage 1 telemetry continue to plummet as the drone ship makes its way down, or excuse me, as the first stage booster makes its way down to the drone ship.
Stage 1 transonic.
SpaceX going for the 57th
Stage 1
landing.
landing burn.
Stage 1 landing burn. Deploy. Stage 1 landing burn.
You see the view from the drone ship.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Stage 1 landing burn confirmed. Touchdown.
And for the 12th time, with just a tad wobbly for a second, we see booster 1073 standing tall on the drone ship, a short fall of gravitas. This was, as I was just mentioning, the 57th landing on this particular drone ship.
Stage 2 terminal guidance.
Waiting for SES-1.
MVAC shutdown.
MVAC shutdown.
SECO 1. The Falcon 9 second stage now in a coasting phase, that parking orbit until T+53 minutes, 21 seconds, where we'll have a 2-second burn, setting up for the deployment of the Starlink.